kind of run you through our top 5 quarterbacks. How you want to do this? You want to do 5 to 1, 1 to 5?
Don't matter to me. Whatever you want to do.
Let's go 5 to 1.
Let's go 5 to 1. That sounds. Then we can have the drum roll for number 1.
Yeah.
Actually, it'd be number 2 because once we get the number 2, we know who we have.
Yeah, I think we are. We do have some similarities at the top.
Yeah. I think number 5 we're not going to agree on personally, but
I'll let you start. Who's your 5?
My number 5 is J.J. McCarthy. And I found out this week that my wife apparently loves J.J. McCarthy, and she's watched one game of his. She loved how he beat Alabama, and now she's a fan. And now she wants J.J. McCarthy to be the quarterback of the Broncos. I like J.J. McCarthy. I think Jim Harbaugh kind of maybe reached a little bit saying he's the best Michigan quarterback ever.
That's a bold statement. Well, maybe in college.
Yeah.
Maybe in college.
Yeah, maybe in college. I mean, Brady obviously wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't crazy good in college. Like I don't think he was.
No, I mean he lost to Drew Henson, honestly.
But McCarthy,
Sure,
I think
like
McCarthy's a winner. He's won a lot of games. I mean, you're going into the NFL. What coaches want? Guys that have experience, guys that have won games. He's athletic. He can move. He can throw. I mean, dude has a good arm. Had a couple questionable throws against Alabama. But I think in this draft with these quarterbacks that are here, I think McCarthy he's solid. I think he just sneaks into number 5 for me. Once I go through my list, I'll say who I think he sneaked above, and I think the guy he snuck above is probably going to be your number 5 or probably bottom of your 5. So
So my thoughts on JJ McCarthy quick. I think he's Paxton Lynch, bud. I do. He throws a fastball, but if he doesn't have his fastball, there's not a whole lot of touch on that arm. He's
Paxton
a very
Lynch,
one-dimensional arm talent.
I don't agree with that.
You cannot.
I know you like.
He throws a great fastball.
Yeah, we've been friends a long time, and I know I was obsessed with Paxton Lynch when he came out, but that guy literally could not figure out how to throw a touch. I think McCarthy's going to be a system guy who's going to be a plug it and play it. I think he'd be good for a guy like Sean Payton, a coach like that.
He can go back too, can he?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think he's officially declared.
But yeah, I think he's going to play for a guy that's going to call the play. He's going to put him in a successful offense. Like I'm not going to say he's a system quarterback, but you can plug him into a system like the quarterbacks or the coach is going to give him a system, and I think you'll be able to run your system pretty well.
Yeah, I don't question his intelligence as far as running the system. For me, it's just there's too many balls that it's a fastball or nothing. There's not a whole lot of touch to it.
He has to learn a little bit.
Yeah, so I honestly think he would be best served going back for a year if Harbaugh stays. Yeah. I think that's a big if Harbaugh stays.
I think Harbaugh's gone.
I think if he's going to go, it's this year.
I think Harbaugh is the new coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. If I had to put out a bold statement,
I think if they win the Natty, he goes.
You think? I would agree with that.
I think so.
I think he's gone regardless, but I think he's definitely gone if he wins the Natty.
Yeah, if he wins the Natty to Michigan, I think he'll call it a career there.
So you obviously don't agree with my number 5. So who's your number 5?
I don't, and I'll be honest with you. I'm going to go off my board here. The guy who I initially had at 5 here, I'm going to bump up. I'm going to take Bo Nix at 5 here. Okay. For me, I think I see a little bit of C.J. Stroud-ish in Bo Nix's abilities and his arm talent, the way he moves in the pocket. The guy's a 5-year starter. He was very experienced, got a great arm, sneaky athlete. He's fairly mobile, can run, also can create. Not quite Caleb Williams creation, off a scramble drill, that kind of stuff. But he definitely can create. My biggest concerns on him: throws a lot of screen passes in college. Obviously, he threw 40 touchdowns. It's all pre bowl games here. He threw 40 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's incredible numbers as far as the stat goes. He's 6'2", 219, completed 77% of his passes. That's highest in the country.
Right.
It's tough to beat that. Over 4,000 yards for him this year.
I think if you're going off Bo Nix too, those stats you're talking, I think he definitely benefited off a very good offense, very good run game, very good receivers, good offensive line. They had a good thing going there, and if it wasn't for Washington and Michael Penix Jr., Oregon's probably a top 14. But
I agree.
Washington single-handedly stopped Oregon this year because of their offense was just a little bit more potent than what Oregon was.
Yeah.
I like Bo Nix. That was the guy I was saying was kind of like a 5A, 5B kind of guy for me. I think McCarthy just has a little bit more upside, I think, in the league. I think Bo Nix definitely he did really well with the team he had and the system he had, and I think McCarthy did too. But I think McCarthy just has a little bit more to offer as far as going pro and fitting in a pro system a little bit better.
Yeah, see, I disagree. I think Bo Nix has more upside there. I actually think Bo Nix can be a better NFL quarterback than he was in college. And he was a great college quarterback.
I think for both, they have to land in the right spot.
I agree.
Because I think they can both of those quarterbacks could very easily have their careers ruined by going to the wrong team. And I mean that's like that for a lot of like that for a lot of quarterbacks.
It is.
I think
I think there's a realistic chance that Denver is in on Bo Nix in the first round.
100%. I think Bo Nix. I think Denver's in on Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy. I really do, because I think they both fit Denver's offense and what Sean Payton's trying to do. And when I was talking about that coach that McCarthy needs, like guy that'll put him in a system to succeed, and just kind of let him do his thing, call the play, and put him in that position to succeed. I think Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy both would benefit off Sean Payton. I think those are going to be Sean Payton's top two guys if we're looking for a quarterback in the first round. McCarthy, I think there's a good chance he slips and goes in the second round.
Yeah, McCarthy.
I think McCarthy's probably second round. I think Bo Nix could be that guy that sneaks into the first round.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is a first round quarterback. I do, whether it's at 14 or wherever Denver goes, or if somebody trades back up late in the first round just to get that fifth year.
My top four that I have here, I think, are all locks to go in the first round, in my opinion. I think all four of them will go in the first round. I think Bo Nix is the first. I like McCarthy a little bit better. I think Bo Nix is the one that could potentially be that fifth one that hops in. I really don't think there's a chance McCarthy's a first round pick.
I
think McCarthy is a early second round pick, early to mid second round pick.
Yeah. I think I probably have him late.
I agree with you.
Second,
I think Bo Nix could potentially be Denver's guy in the first round if they decide to.
I do too. It feels like a good fit for me. Things that I think he needs to work on. His footwork at times is spotty. He gets the kind of happy feet a little bit at times. And his progression. He doesn't. If his first read's there, he's great. Anticipation, throws with anticipation, great. When he starts to get to his third, fourth reads, it's not quite there as far as that goes. And his pocket toughness, sometimes he'll float the pocket when he doesn't need to. So just stay in there.
And that's been a big question mark in Denver this year. Russell Wilson's leaving the pocket early when he doesn't need to. So does Sean Payton go for a guy like that, or does Sean Payton want a guy that stands confidently in the pocket like McCarthy does, or like a Michael Penix? So.
I mean, speaking of Penix is my 4.
Penix is also my 4.
I'll be honest. When I first did the scouting, he was my 5, but he definitely bumped me up a spot after that performance in the semifinal game.
Yep. I think Michael Penix has elite arm talent. Like his arm talent is absolutely elite. I think this guy
arm strength is elite for sure.
Yeah. I think this guy doesn't tear his ACL
twice
ever, I think we're talking about him being in the conversation for number 1.
Yeah, and that's the biggest question mark you have with Penix is his injury history.
That's why he's 4, right? That's why he's 4.
Yeah, that's why I had him initially at 5. Yeah. But the way he played in that game, it's just you couldn't deny the talent for me. He had 4 injuries. He's had 2 ACLs. He has a lot of injuries, a lot of scar tissue on the knees for being as old as he is. But he has played a lot of ball. Yeah. He's 5-year starter as well. The arm strength is absolutely elite. He throws a perfect deep ball.
Yeah, and I mean he's been throwing to NFL caliber wide receivers.
Yeah,
like he has that. I mean Washington's had a very good offense. I mean they score 30 points consistently. Like
if they would have McMillan all year too, that would have been even scarier.
I think if we're gonna do this and talk fits too, because I think we were talking fits a little bit with the last 2 guys. I think Michael Penix Jr. fit wise for me is Minnesota.
It's funny you say that because my comp on him is a better Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
As I see a lot of Teddy Bridgewater in there, left-handed guy as well.
I think Kevin O'Connell would love having this guy throw to Justin Jefferson. Like he's accurate, he has a big arm. Jordan Addison stretching the field. Like, I think Michael Penix Jr. fits very well in Minnesota. I think O'Connell will get that offense running right. But my only concern with Penix is his knee okay? That's
it was good all year. So I don't know if I have concerns. Is it okay? It's just what is the long term look on that? Obviously, I think Penix has elite anticipation.
Yeah.
He throws that ball before.
He understands the game.
He's a very, very smart quarterback. He's great pre-snap. I think he's probably the best pre-snap quarterback in this draft class.
I don't think the NFL is going to be as fast for him as it will be with some other quarterbacks.
No,
I think it's the game. The game's pretty slow to him.
Yes, he definitely understands what the defense is trying to do against him. At times, he struggled with a little bit of touch placement.
Yep.
Not so much inaccurate, but where he's putting the ball kind of thing, which I think that'll come along for him.
And the thing is, he's what? He's been in college for 6 years. He's a captain.
Yeah.
He's a 4 or 5 year starter. Like, he has the experience. Just like Nix, just like McCarthy, they have the experience. I think he's going to be very good in the NFL. I just hate left-handed quarterbacks, but
I'm not crazy.
If this guy was playing for my favorite team, I wouldn't be mad at all. Because I think
I really like Penix.
I think he's very good.
I think he's got the moxie, the swagger to him.
Yeah.
I think people like playing with him. I think he got most out of Roma Dunze and McMillan and them guys.
I think he played Roma Dunze into getting a higher draft slot.
I do too. I really like Roma, though. I really do, which we'll get into probably next week when we do our receivers here. But 6'3", 215, gets the ball out pretty quick. Average 2.69 per seconds there. Going back to Bo Nix, he's at 2.44, which is incredibly quick, but a lot of that is because of the screen game.
Yeah, and I remember I think I sent you the video. I think it was yesterday or today.
That was today.
Because a lot
of him playing as a right-handed quarterback.
I don't like left-handed quarterbacks. I think it just looks weird. It looks like he's getting the ball out a lot slower. But there was a video we saw, and it flipped the screen, and it made it look like Penix was a right-handed quarterback.
Yeah.
That ball got out fucking quick.
Yeah.
Like he looked normal, and if he was a right-handed quarterback, I think a lot of people would look at him different too.
Yeah, I would agree. I think his mechanics, just because it's left-handed, look unorthodox. But I don't really know
it looks like Tua.
If they are. Yeah, I don't really know if they are unorthodox. Yeah. A lot of people say they are, but I think it's just because you're not used to seeing it kind of left-handed quarterback.
There's one left-handed quarterback in the league right now.
But yeah, I love Penix, and he his performance in that semifinal game was a massive, and I'm really pulling for Washington in the Natty.
Yeah,
so I think he's got a chance to really put on a show out there.
Yeah. Then if we're gonna go up the list here, so my 3, the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels.
I'm in agreement.
So I like Daniels. I think he definitely played his draft stock up a little bit this year. He's very athletic. He plays with good accuracy. He can move around. His ability to extend plays is probably better than any other quarterback in the league or in this draft this year.
His ability creates it.
I think he's definitely. I think he's going to be good at the next level. I think see how his durability holds up. He's a little skinny, so see if he can.
He's 210.
Take care of his body a little bit and learn how to slide when he takes off and all that stuff. So
that's my biggest knock on him is he's got to learn how to avoid the big hit.
Yeah.
But he is a dangerous runner. When he decides to run, he's Lamar Jackson for me. I honestly think that's the perfect comparison to him. I don't think he's quite as explosive as Lamar, but he's damn close.
There's not a lot of quarterbacks
he's
explosive as Lamar.
He's damn close, though. Guy's played 5 years. He's played in 2 different conferences. He's seen a lot of different schemes,
he
a lot of
won
different.
In the SEC. It's always hard to win in the SEC.
Obviously, I would have loved to see him play in that bowl game. Obviously, he didn't. Neighbors and Thomas and them did, so it's kind of would have liked to see him go out with them guys.
Yep.
Does seem to hold the ball a little bit. His average time to throw was 2.91. So that's a little long for me on that. So I would like to see him get the ball out a little quicker, but his ability to create is a big part of that.
Yep.
And he really focused in the last 2 years on ball security. The guy threw 7 picks in the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
2 seasons, not last year. The last 2 seasons, he threw 7 picks.
I think that's a big reason why he won the Heisman too. He definitely takes care of the ball. He makes things happen. He looks fun. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
That's a big thing with the Heisman Award. You got to be fun to watch, or you ain't winning. So,
I mean, he accounted for 50 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
That's a crazy number. 40 in the air, 10 on the ground.
Yep.
71% completion rating.
Where do you think this young man ends up?
Or in the top 4.
So I have him going to New England. I think that's a good spot for him. I think that's a no matter who's the coach, I think can build off of him. It's not like they have bad, like their roster's not terrible.
It's not great.
Not great. It's not terrible.
It's not overwhelming. It's not a bad roster, but it's not an exciting roster. It works. They have a lot of guys, but no like guy. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that
and that's
elite
just been
guy.
the Bill way. Bill's never had guy. Bill had average guys and made him the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, he had Brady, and Brady made a lot of guys better around him for sure.
I think Jaden Daniels can go into that team. I think we can all agree is very boring on offense.
It is.
I think he can go into that team and make that team exciting again. So I think Jaden Daniels. I think that's where he ends up. If New England's picking at 4, if New England's picking at 3, I think that's where he ends up. Because Arizona's not going to take him.
I think the only chance he doesn't end up in New England for me is if New England wins this week, falls to 4, and somebody trades to 3, which I think is a very real scenario.
I can see that. Yep. If somebody trades up above New England.
I just don't know what New England's going to be as far as the GM wise goes. I don't know who's going to be running the team. I don't think it's Bill.
I can see a team. We were just talking about this team for my fit for Penix, but I could see the Vikings being a team that goes up and tries to get. I mean, it's going to be a big jump, but it all depends on what the coach likes. Does Kevin O'Connell want a guy that's a little bit more mobile running his offense that can still do everything else? Now he's not going to have the arm talent Michael Penix has, but he's mobile and he can still be able to extend plays a little bit. Does a guy like the Vikings go up and get him? Does a team like the Falcons go up and get him?
Yeah, the Falcons were the team I'd be concerned about.
I think the Falcons. I think he'd be a very good fit for the Falcons as well. But a big question mark with the Falcons: if Justin Fields is on the trade block, I think Justin Fields is a Falcon.
I could definitely see Justin Fields being that. Yeah. It feels like that's a Falcons move. I feel like the Falcons like that. Going back to the Mike Vick days, always I feel like they like that runner style quarterback.
Yep. And their offense kind of fits for that right now.
They
have a lot of explosive guys on offense. It would make them even more explosive.
Yeah, with the explosion they have there.
I like Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels definitely played his way into number 3 this year.
I do too.
If we would have did this list here a couple months ago, Michael Penix would have been my number 3, which Michael Penix is still close number 4, but just because of his elite arm talent,
and Jaden's definitely the better athlete for sure. The arm strength and arm accuracy,
two different players.
Is definitely different. It's definitely which style do you like?
Yep.
And I think if the Ravens win the Super Bowl this year, I think that's going to help Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. I think if we're in getting out of Jason Daniels, you were just talking about depends on what style you like more. I think our 1-2 or 1A 1B here kind of fits that mold. Just who do you prefer more? What body type do you like more? What quarterback? I think Caleb Williams kind of played himself out a little bit of the guaranteed. No matter who's picking, he's going number 1.
I still think he goes 1. I do.
I could see it. I mean, it all depends on who's picking it too. We don't know who's going to be taking that pick yet, so it's kind of hard to say. Obviously, somebody's picking Caleb Williams or Drake May. But just curious, who do you have at number 2?
For me, it's Caleb Williams.
Yeah. And we're in agreement there.
It is, and this was tough for me. Obviously, my college team's SC, so I watched a lot of Caleb Williams play this year, and for me, it's the lack of anticipation. Yeah. He throws to receivers that are open, and that's really about it. He doesn't really anticipate the throw very well. Doesn't stay in the pocket. Likes to get out. Likes to try to create. He does have elite level of creation ability for sure. The issue for me here at putting him at 2 is the potential, and I hate that word. I really truly do. But his ceiling is high. I mean, he's probably the most gifted quarterback we've seen since Mahomes.
Yeah.
I get Mahomes that isn't all that old, but Mahomes is my comp on him. I think there's a lot of Mahomes to him. I don't think he has quite the arm talent that Mahomes did, but it's close.
Yeah.
Decision making is where I really struggle with him. That Notre Dame game, he looked god awful through 3 picks. He only had 5 picks on the year, but 3 of them were in that game. He had 11 rushing touchdowns this year, so that's nothing to anticipate there. He's inconsistent as far as in his accuracy goes, and his footwork is suspect.
Yeah.
Does tend to hold the ball too long, I think, as well. But I think a lot of that is he's the best athlete on the field in college football by far. So he tries to create too much, play maybe a little too much hero ball for me. And out of structure though, he's special. Yeah. When the play breaks down, he's definitely special in that. A lot of his big plays came off out of structure plays.
Yeah, I think you said it for me. Is one of my biggest takeaways with him. The downside is him trying to play hero ball. That hero ball that he plays in college against some of these shit teams he played in college is not going to work in the NFL. Like he's running around for I forget what. I think it was the first or second game of the season. He ran around for.
Oh yeah, made like 4 dudes miss and threw a touchdown. Yeah,
and
it's great.
and had a touchdown at the end of it. That isn't going to work in the NFL. It's not going to be something. So I think him trying to be the hero is going to be his downfall. And another thing I really don't like about Caleb Williams is the attitude. I think is he kind of when things aren't going his way, it seems like he kind of shuts down a little bit. And like when you're taking a guy at number 1, especially if you are the Chicago Bears and you're getting ready to move on from Justin Fields, like you want that guy, you want your guy to have the it factor and be like know that he's the guy, he's confident in being the guy. Like, is Caleb Williams that guy? Like we saw Caleb Williams lose to Utah
every year,
never beat Utah, and like. You can tell when he played Utah this year. You can tell he never beat Utah.
Yeah,
they're in his head. So I just don't think Caleb Williams has the maturity over Drake May. And as far but like you said, the tools are there. Like the dude is athletically gifted and can be. We can be talking about him as being one of our top quarterbacks of our generation behind Mahomes.
Yes.
But in the same sense. He could also be a very big flop if it doesn't work out. I think he's the big question mark. And do I think he's going to go number 1? Yes. I think no matter who's picking, he is going to go number 1. But there might be a team that says, you know what, like I like Drake May. So, and I like Drake May personally. If I were a team picking number 1, that's who I'd want. I think which I know this is never going to happen, but if my personal favorite team, the Denver Broncos, picked at number 1, that's who I'd want. But I like Drake's body size. He's a bigger guy. Mm-hmm. He is athletic for being a bigger guy. His pocket presence is very good. I think my comp for Drake May is a more athletic Justin Herbert.
That's what Justin Herbert. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert.
I think they play very similar, but he's more athletic. You don't see Justin Herbert taking off and extending plays obviously May doesn't extend a play as well as Williams does, but he has the availability too. He can do it. He can't do it.
So as far as obviously I Drake May at 1 as well for me as well. My biggest thing with Caleb Williams though, just to finish up to Caleb, is he's very boom or bust for me. Yeah. He's either the next coming of Jesus. Or he's
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, and out of there. I don't really see him being a serviceable guy for 12, 15 years. I
don't think he has the maturity to do that. I really don't. Yeah, if he's not the guy, if he's not him, he's not going to want to be in the league.
Yeah,
I think he's like I said. I think that's part of just his maturity level and his composure and everything. I just don't. I don't see if he's not good, he's not going to sit around and be a backup. I don't.
Yeah, I think there's just so much boom or bust with him for me. I like Caleb. I do, and I do think he hits. At the end of the day, I still have him ranked at 2.
Yeah, I think he definitely played his way out of.
Nobody's seen 7 and 5 out of him this year.
Yeah, and remember at the beginning of the season, he said he'll only come out and play for a certain amount of teams.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That was a bad look from me.
Only certain teams he'll play for, and he wants part ownership of whatever team he's playing for. Like, it just, to me, you're a guy that hasn't really, I'm sorry, you won a Heisman, yeah. Like, you won some games in college, yeah. You haven't done shit.
Yeah.
You haven't played a game. You haven't played a game in the league. Like, I don't think you're in a position to make demands. I mean, obviously, there have been quarterbacks, Elway, Manning, said, I'm not playing for you for certain teams. But like this guy gave a list of 5 teams that he said he wanted to play.
Yeah, and then you if the 1 or 2, when it comes draft time, if one of those teams aren't who picks him, because a lot of the teams that he picked aren't picking at the top of this draft.
Yeah.
Does he play for?
Does he go back to? That's another
well,
question.
Once you declare,
does he go back to college?
I don't think he does. He didn't play in a bowl game, and I don't think you. If you don't play in a bowl game, for me, I have a hard time believing you're going.
And I think he's hurt himself enough this year that he's not going to go back to college and hurt himself more, because he hurt himself enough, but I think he's still the number 1 pick.
Yeah, so do I.
So I think if he goes back to college, he might hurt himself a little bit more. Like especially if you don't notice much of a change in his game.
I mean, there's a lot of those receivers are gone. Obviously, Taj Washington's gone. Mario Williams is in the portal. Yeah. Brennan Rice graduated. He'll be in the draft as well. Yeah. So he's losing a lot of his weapons. Marshawn Lloyd's gone as well. So the pretty much almost that whole offensive weapons core is gone at SC. So I don't see him a scenario where he goes back. I do think he goes 1. I don't think it matters who picks there.
Yeah, and I think depending on who's picking, I can definitely see a team liking Drake May more. I really can.
I do.
I still think Williams is number 1 pick, but I have a gut feeling a team looks at the makeup of both of them and says, you know what, this is the guy which is the guy I want leading my team for the next 15 years. Is it the guy that we think might give up when shit gets bad, or the guy that's like a little bit more composed, and they're kind of 2 completely different quarterbacks too. I mean, you put Williams in more of a West Coast style offense, and Drake May's going to be in more of a spread style offense.
Yeah, so, for me, my comp on Drake May was Herbert. He's definitely got a pro build. He's 6'4", 230. He's a big dude. He's got a lead arm talent. Yeah. And he's really good anticipation. Yeah. I have Gunslinger wrote down here too. So he can fire the ball.
He can throw the ball.
But with that too, you get the plus and minuses of being a gunslinger. He does put the ball in harm sometimes. He does force plays. He has a tendency to make a bad play worse. If a play breaks down on him, he'll try to force something. He did throw 9 picks this year. I do have him as a plus athlete. I think his running ability, his athletic ability is Daniel Jones-ish. Yeah. Is kind of where I see him there. He does have great accuracy. A lot of his issues for me this year was pre-snap. I don't think he reads the defense super great at this point. Not to say I don't think he can. He doesn't read the pass protection all that well for me. Right. So he'll tend to not move the protection to where he needs to, which I think he can definitely learn and grow from there. But 24 touchdowns this year, that's a little scary for me. I would like to see more production out of him as far as the stats go. Obviously, playing at North Carolina, I don't think he's playing with the elite level of talent though that Caleb Williams or even Michael Penix or those guys or Bo Nix and them guys were playing with. Yeah. Obviously, Tez Walker's an NFL quarterback or NFL receiver for sure, I think. But beyond Tez was only there for half the year, and then he got hurt, got knocked out there for that one game. He had the eligibility issue or whatever. So maybe those numbers would have been a lot better with some better talent there for sure. But I have Justin Herbert on Drake May, and if you end up with Drake May, I don't think you're upset by any means.
I like I said, if I was making the pick, I'm picking Drake May. I like your comparison to the Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert mix. Because like I said, I think he's a more athletic Justin Herbert. So because Justin Herbert, he can go if pocket breaks down, play isn't there, he can go get you 5 yards and get you a first down. Yeah. Daniel Jones will have 8 to 10 carries
he's
a game.
A sneaky athlete.
Yeah, I like that with Drake May. I think Drake May, the game will slow down for him. I think Drake May could benefit to sitting a year. Obviously, you're getting taken that high. I don't think you're sitting. You're probably going to play right away. I can definitely see Drake May studying under somebody for a year and taking over the reins, especially if he goes. I think Drake May ends up in Washington. I think when you're going to Washington, you might have a guy like Jacoby Brissett there that starts the season.
You could.
And I think that just half the season, I think Drake May benefits from it. Because I think we all know Washington ain't making the playoffs next year. So,
not unless something drastic.
Unless Drake May goes out and has a CJ Stroud type year.
Yeah.
Which we also don't know who's going to be the head coach there this year. If they get an offensive-minded guy, if a guy like Ben Johnson says, "I love Drake May," and takes the Washington job because
I think
of Drake
Bieniemy's
May.
still there. I think Bieniemy sticks around.
Yeah, I think Bieniemy could be the could be the dark horse for a head coach job there. If Ron moves
Possibly.
on.
I think
can
Ron
see Ron
should.
moving on.
I think Ron should. I don't think Ron's all that great of a coach at this point in his career.
And I think Bieniemy, like you went out and got Bieniemy. I think you kind of have to give him another year. And I think the only way you get him another year is making him the head coach. So
yeah, I wouldn't be upset with that. I honestly think Drake May is a much better NFL quarterback than he is a college quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I have him at.
Yeah.
And
there's just been guys like that. I mean, there's been guys that are better NFL quarterbacks than they are in college.
Yes.
Like it just happens. Maybe just because of the way they play, the style of offense they thrive better in, or maybe they get a coach in the NFL that just puts them in a better system to win.
Yeah, I think a lot of those does come down to the talent he plays around too. Obviously, you're going to go to the NFL where you're going to have. I mean, if he ends up in Washington, you got Scary Terry.
Yeah, Drake May doesn't have very good receivers in North Carolina.
No, I mean Tez Walker's solid, but again, he was only there a couple games this year. They didn't get to play a whole lot with him.
Like he goes to Washington, you immediately have Scary Terry and Jahan Dotson.
Yep.
I mean that's pretty solid.
Yeah,
like,
he's never played with receivers.
And I think they'll like the receiver class is deep. They'll be able to get another guy. Like they have a good running back in Brian Robinson. Like that's a good solid guy.
Decent tandem there with Gibson still there. I mean Gibson's not nearly as good as Brian Robinson.
I mean I don't think Washington wouldn't scare me, especially they got new ownership now too. I think that team's kind of on the up and coming. I think it's that wouldn't be a bad team to go to. So I think that's where Drake May ends up, unless a team moves up above them to get Drake May. But I think Washington's sitting at number 2, unless Washington says, "I fucking love Caleb Williams and I'll give you a first round pick to move up one spot." And I don't know,
maybe, but I think even in that case, I think Drake May still goes 2. So I think they're a lock for 1-2. I really do, and I think Jaden Daniels is a lock for the top 4. Whether it's 3 or 4, probably 3.
I think Penix end up going top 15. I don't see Penix sneaking into the top 10. I think Penix is a 15 to 20 guy.
I think Penix could fall to the Broncos. I feel like that's a good fit for him there. Yeah. Him or Bo Nix there. But one person I have down the list here obviously got hurt. I think he's a great. He's not in my top 5 obviously, but he's a guy that I did want to give a little love to here. Was Jordan Travis. I think he's a great leader. I think great locker room guy. He's a very good improviser. His footwork's really good. Can run pretty good. He's got really solid mechanics for me. I don't think the arm strength's quite there for me. Pocket awareness is questionable at times. A little bit overconfident in his arm. I think can be coached out of him. He's a little smaller. He's only 6'1". But I have Case Keenum as a comp on him. Yeah. I think he's very similar to that.
I like Jordan Travis. Like you said, he's a good locker room guy, definitely a good leader. I can see him going somewhere maybe with a quarterback, like either an aging quarterback or a quarterback that's kind of just not getting it done, and a guy where he'll sit for a couple years. I think Jordan Travis would definitely benefit. Like I think going to like somewhere like Seattle would be a good fit
Seattle
for him.
Would be a good fit for him. I think it's a day 3 pick.
Yeah,
maybe sneaks.
Might sneak in the third round. It depends on who. I mean, we got a lot of quarterback needy teams this year. I mean, like if the Bears decide they want a quarterback, you have the Bears, you have the Commanders, you have the Raiders, you have the Broncos. You have who else we got here? These quarterbacks. A team like the Rams could be a team for him. For Jordan Travis. Stafford's aging. Stetson Bennett's still in rehab, so who freaking knows what the hell's going on there.
Carson Wentz starting this week.
Carson Wentz is starting this week. A team like the Giants. I mean, the Giants are going to go quarterback at some point.
I think the Giants could be in play for a quarterback earlier than
another dark horse team. I think for Jordan Travis would be the Cleveland Browns. Is Watson getting it done? Is Watson going to be the guy there going forward? I think Watson ends up getting bought out of his contract at some point.
Can you get out of that contract? Is my question.
I mean, Denver's getting out of Russ's contract somehow.
Yeah, that wasn't fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's a bad contract. That's one of the worst trades of all time, I think.
100%.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know what they do. I don't know if we can get out of it, really, honestly.
All right. We'll get into the prospect scouting, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, well,
once we have more of a set in stone, we'll do some segments where obviously this
we'll get some mocks out.
Change. Yeah,
we'll get some mocks out once
Can't
the draft
wait for
orders.
mock draft season. Can't wait.
It's coming up. Yeah, probably next week. Next week or two, or get a mock draft 1.0 out. But next week we'll get into the receivers. We'll scout some receivers for you. You can kind of give us your thoughts.
Very good receiver class.
I love this receiver class.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I told you
guys
before,
I really like.
Before we went on here. I think we have 5 guys in the first round. I really 5,
I
6
could see
guys
it.
in the first round.
I could see it. I wouldn't be shocked by it.
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very good receiver draft. Some big guys, I don't think we've seen a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out as a receiver in a long time.
No, he's definitely the most polished receiver we've seen in a long time. But all right, let's put that.